officials of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to also join us on this discussion. Did not yield result, but we're believing that the legal practitioner, with the participation of you, the guest, the listener outside there, will be able to participatory. And later at 10 o'clock, you can call in to also give your thoughts on what we are discussing. The number through which you can participate on the program is 0814 335 9292. 0814 335 9292. The SMS line is also available, and that line is 0912 699 9404. 0912-699-9404. Remember to include your full name and the location where you're sending your message from. Log on to our website on www.agetradiotv.com to access our content and, of course, the live stream of this program. You can also download the Agate Radio and TV app from Google Play Store, which avails you the platform of the television online, the newspaper, as well as the radio. You are available on Radio Garden and on social media platforms where we stream our contents. Kindly join us to be a part of this discussion. We'll take a short break, and once we are back, our discussion starts. Kindly stay with us. Welcome back from that short break, dear listener. I'm Barrister Yaji. Today is International Anti-Corruption Day. From your point of view as a legal practitioner, what do you make of the observance of this day?
Well, thank you very much. A day is very, very important. Corruption is something that permeates the whole universe. It's a scourge that most advanced societies or all societies need to eliminate. It is that which takes our societies backwards. So to mark it is a form of ensuring that the fight against corruption is taken to all parts of the world and people get to be aware of it. So it's a very important day.
Okay, you used a word there that corruption is a scourge. To what extent is this a scourge bedeviling the international community and Nigeria inclusive?
Well, that is a pretty wide definition for me to bring. But let us just say that corruption is a kangaroo. Corruption permeates every aspect of our society. We live with it day in, day out. Everywhere you turn, there's corruption. There's corruption in the churches, in religious institutions rather. There's corruption in schools. There's corruption in the executive, corruption in the judiciary, corruption in the legislature. Everywhere you go to, even in schools, even in as low as primary schools, there is corruption. So for us to be able to bring it in context, we should be able to identify what exactly do we mean by this corruption. Is it only taking of bribes? Is it only giving gratification? So we have to look at corruption as a perspective as a whole, because it permeates every facet of our society.
Let's look at these aspects of what constitutes corruption, and given that you said it permeates all sectors or all spheres of our lives.
Well, thank you. I'll just try to be as brief as possible because I will not be able to finish what corruption entails. Corruption includes the perversion of public affairs for public advantage. It includes offering of bribe. It includes unauthorized rewards to influence people in position of authority, either to act or refuse to act in a particular way. It includes misappropriation of public funds and resources for private gains, nepotism, etc. It includes the use of official position, resources or facilities for personal advantage, or possible conflict of interest between public positions and private benefits. It also includes misconduct by public officials, and it covers normally covered by a variety of those internal regulations that keep them from being exposed. Corruption in this sense includes bribery, kickback, misappropriation, misapplication, or the use of one's position either to gain an advantage for yourself, for your friends, or for your relations. It includes taking an advantage in order to stop you from doing an act, or for you to do an act which you are supposed by law to do or not to do.
Quite a wide scope. Anyway, we are going to be isolating some of them to talk about, but let's go back to the day itself and the theme for this year, which is uniting youth against corruption, shaping tomorrow's integrity. What does this theme for the day's observance this year entail? Uniting with youth against corruption, shaping tomorrow's integrity.
Yeah, thank you very much. As they say, the youth are the future leaders of tomorrow. And if you are fighting corruption and you start from the top and you do not include the youth, then it means that your fight will have an open end. Now, I am aware that in some schools they have established integrity clubs to preach against corruption. We have to include these youths to ensure that the fight against corruption is nipped from the bud before they get into public positions where they are able to either influence or not to influence the acting or inactivity of certain things. Then at this stage, they need to be inculcated. I'll give you an example. It may not sound very, very important, but if you look at Benue State, for example, now, there are hardly areas where you can take children between the ages of 5 years. I say 5 years because from 5 years down, children are normally in the custody of their parents. They are normally in the arms of their parents. But for a child that gets to about 6 years and above, between 6 years to pre-18, 18 years, yes, you have assumed responsibility of an adult. Where do you take them to? Where do they work? Where do they play? We should ask ourselves those kind of questions. The parks that were in existence for children to go and interact with their mates have been turned into beer parlors. They have been turned into drinking places. They have been built up. So, if you want to get the youth, apart from the schools that we have, and the schools mostly, they are interested in education, formal education. The concepts that we are talking about, corruption. These are places, as a child, we used to have, what do you call them? Theater arts clubs, where we could go to the Benue State Theater Arts Council and perform plays concerning ills of the society, just like corruption. These things are no more in existence. We need to bring them back because this is where the focus of the youth are. This is where you'll be able to gather the youth in an informal environment and then teach them issues concerning corruption, the disadvantages of corruption. So it is very, very important for us to come back to the drawing board to ensure that these youths are properly taught, properly inculcated in aspects of society, especially aspects bordering on corruption.
All right, which is to say that if we should start fighting corruption, as this theme suggests, we should go back to the basics of the youth, as you're suggesting?
Exactly so.
All right, now let's look at the extent to which there is prevalence of corruption in the public sector. And by public sector here, maybe we should start from governors. To what extent is the Nigerian society pervaded by corruption in the public space?
Well, the statistics are debatable. There's statistics issued by Transparency International, the corruption index in Nigeria. The ones we see physically are the ones that public officers brazenly embezzle money, brazenly live above their means. I am chairman of MBA, for example. A little society that does not have resources will depend on our own contributions and dues. It is expected, and society expects of somebody like me to be able to give out monies to people, because that is what the society thinks of people in public office. That is the perception of people in public office. The moment we remove that perception away, public service is somewhere you're called in to come and serve, not somewhere to come and take and eat, not somewhere that you'll be able to aggrandize monies where you'll be able to remove some little stipends and give out to people, and then they'll be hailing you and singing high praises for you. So if a little association like the NBA that I've talked about are experiencing things like that, then talk less of people that are appointed into public offices, especially elected offices, chairmen, governors, commissioners, all those appointees, and even the public servants themselves. They are expected, the society expects them to dole out monies, to dole out favors. And these favors, we should ask ourselves, are they coming from their salaries? Will their salaries or allowances be able to sustain them? No, they will not be able to. So where do they get these monies to be able to dole out to people? Where do they get these monies to be able to build the kind of houses they build, to maintain the kind of exorbitant lifestyles that they maintain? We should start from there.
Very well. Now, how does corruption manifest in different sectors, especially politics and governance?
Well, most people contesting political offices are there simply because they want to get a share of the national cake. So, with that kind of mindset, when you get to an office, wherever the money is, wherever the government materials are, you will try to use them to be able to attain that which you thought before coming into governance. In the first place, the system how our leaders are brought forward is flawed. A person cannot, for example, be contesting for the office of councillor, and you expect the person to spend a huge sum of money in the range of 20, 30, 40, and 50 million, and then expect that person to get into public office and then live by his salary and his allowances alone. Of course, he will try to recoup those monies back. And where will the person recoup those monies back? Through doing one thing or the other, which leads to corruption. Those are for elected officers. For other public servants, of course, it is not an empirical statement that I'm making. It is just my thoughts on the subject. For other public servants, yes, politicians come and politicians go. And then they see these politicians coming and then raking so much money, and then they are always there. They say, soldier come and soldier go, barracks remain. The politicians rake in a lot of money and they are seated like that. And at the end of the day, the society does not reward you for being honest. Society sings praises for those people that have been able to subvert the system and get advantages to themselves. So one way or the other, they are influenced by these politicians that come in, and then they fall prey to those things.
All right. Now, look, as we are talking about politics and governance, let's also give an aspect to what is this as the relationship between the three arms of government, talking about the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, which are meant to have checks and balances. Would you say they have internal checks and balances that curtail corruption in governance?
When you say internal checks and balances within the executive or within the legislature or within the
judiciary.
The judiciary. Is it the internal or the checks and balances as against the executive, the judiciary, and the...
Checking each of the arms of government.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
An ideal system of government should be that the executive checks the excesses of the judiciary, and then the same thing for the legislature. But we have a system of governance that is flawed. The legislature and the judiciary all depend on the executive for their existence, most of their existence. They talk about independence of the judiciary, independence of the legislature. They are not independent. So we have been trying, society has been crying for these arms of government to be independent. If you are not independent of the other arm, it is not possible for you to check that other arm. And as we speak today, the judiciary depends on the executive for them to carry out even little overhead costs. They depend on the executive. So tell me, in that kind of circumstance, what kind of checks do you expect of the judiciary to the executive? The same thing applies to the legislature. The legislature equally depends to a large extent on the stipends or the advantages that they will be able to get from the executive. So what we are seeing here is a system of government that is like a tripod system of government with the executive on the top and the legislature and the judiciary at the down. So instructions can be said to be passed by the executive to the legislature or to the judiciary. So the checks and balances that ought to be are only on paper. They are not functionally in existence.
Let's take you on this briefly. As it is the judiciary independent of, consciously fighting corruption in Nigeria as an institution with a responsibility?
Yes. There are several convictions. There are several cases that have been decided against people that are corrupt in Nigeria, courtesy of the judiciary. The judiciary itself interpret and apply the laws as sent to them by the legislature. I can assure you that most of these corrupt cases have been handled appropriately by judicial officers. You'll find out that last year or some years back during the Buhari regime, 3 governors were convicted and sentenced to prison by the judiciary on account of corruption. The judiciary performed its functions. It was later on that the same executive granted amnesty or granted pardon to these corrupt officials. So for the judiciary, yes, I'll give them an applause. They are doing what it is that they are supposed to do. That is not to say that there are not some elements here and there that are corrupt.
There are arguments and allegations rife in public domain that there is corruption internally in the judiciary that is even forestalling the success that should be achieved in the fight against corruption. How do you react to this, Barrister Yaji?
Well, the best I could say for that is that there are stories, there are talks about that. I have not seen an accusation against one single judicial officer in Benue State, for example, on corruption charges. I have not seen any. These are based speculations that people have said. That is not to say, and I would say it again, that there are not elements, even within the judiciary, that are corrupt. The introductory message that I gave here was that corruption permeates every facet of the society, and that includes the judiciary.
Very well. Now, let's go back to the basics. Walk us through what you believe are the root causes of corruption in Nigeria across all facets of the society, like you stated.
Wow, that is another huge one. Assets and due advantage based on the position that the person has obtained or acquired or is elected to is corrupt. So, with this definition, you can take it to all aspects of the society. In a family, for example, a family of 10, the head of the household, who is in charge of family property, which is supposed to hold in trust for the entire family, the moment he decides to use a part of that family property to his advantage against the general principle of the entire family, is corrupt. When you come to the wider society, it is the same thing. So you cannot define instances of corruption that this happened here, this happened here, this happened here. But the moment you take yourself out to get an advantage to yourself or to another person, irrespective of what the law says or what the regulations are or what the normal course of events are, then you are corrupt.
All right, dear listener, if you are just tuning in, you are listening to Perspectives on Agate Radio 95.5 Star FM, Makurdi, Benue State. Today is International Anti-Corruption Day, and that is what we are discussing on the program. I have with me here in the studio the chairman, Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, Makurdi branch, Barrister Tena Yaji, who is leading the conversation. And we're still expecting our second guest, the Director, Planning, Research and Statistics with the National Orientation Agency, NOA Benue office, Mr. Mark Dewua. As soon as he's here with us, we'll let you know. In the meantime, to inform you, later at 10 o'clock, you can participate on the program by calling in on 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. The SMS line, which is also available on WhatsApp, through which you can also participate on the program, is 0912-699-9404. I take the number once again, 0912-699-9404. Access other content on that website as well. We're available on Radio Garden and on social media platforms where our content is streaming. You can also download the Agate Radio and TV app from Google Play Store, which will avail you the platforms to also access our content. The radio is there, online, television, as well as the newspaper. We are there to serve you beyond boundaries. Now, Barrister Yaji, let's look at how effective are the established anti-corruption agencies are in the fight against corruption.
Okay, thank you very much. Various institutional frameworks have been put in place in Nigeria to fight corruption. We have the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission. The ICPC was established in 2000. We equally have the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, which was established in 2003. We have the Code of Conduct Bureau, CCB, and then the Code of Conduct Tribunal. These are, apart from the Nigerian Police Force and other enforcement agencies, these are the primary institutional frameworks that have been established to deal with corruption. Well, there are reports that corruption is on the decline since the establishment of these institutions.
Okay, maybe pointed, do you believe in those reports? If there are. Well, let me have your opinion on them briefly before we proceed.
Well, I think they are. Because pre-establishment of these institutions, there were no indices. You could not point at these are the levels of corruptions that we have. But since with the establishment of these agencies, we can now point out and say, okay, yes, EFCC have convicted so people based on corruption. ICPC have equally done the same thing. The Code of Conduct Tribunal has done that. So there's a basis, there's a yardstick that you can, or let me say, there's a framework or a basis for which you can analyze that this and this and this has been done. In those
Yes.
days, it used to be wide. It used to be wide. For example, with the coming of the EFCC, past governors have been convicted and sent to prison. It was something that would never happen before. So only on that basis, I would say yes, they have tried.
Strength of these institutions, some of which you outlined. The EFCC is there, ICPC, the Code of Conduct Tribunal, and the Code of Conduct Bureau, CCB. Now, framework strengthened in the fight against graft in the country.
Well, there are several laws that have backed their existence and their operations. The laws are there, yes, they are strong to fight corruption. It is the implementation of these laws by these various institutions that is the problem. And the question is, have the institutions been able to enforce properly these laws? But another thinker is, why do you have the ICPC when there is a EFCC? Their functions overlap. Why don't you strengthen one of them to ensure or open, if the workload is too much for one of the bodies, why don't you open branches, create other departments under it to fight this? Why do you duplicate the functions? So those are some of the things that we need to examine. But as we said, most of these institutions have been established by the executive. The willpower of the executive to give them a free operating hand to tackle issues of corruption is another issue completely. Because those that have been appointed have not just been appointed like that. They must have been appointed through the recommendation of someone somewhere in high places. And this someone somewhere in high places give favors to other people, their relatives, their friends. And when somebody is arrested or being investigated, some of these institutions are influenced by their appointees, by the people that appointed them. So it is difficult. I'm not speaking for them. I'm not holding brief for them. I just think that it is difficult for them to operate freely because of the issues bordering on their appointments and their removal.
And how can this be curtailed?
Well, the law states that the chairman of the EFCC and the ICPC is appointed subject to ratification by the Senate. He can equally be removed only subject to ratification of the Senate. So there is a check by the legislature so that the executive do not remove the heads of these organizations whimsically. There is that check. But has it actually been applied in practice? We have seen where an EFCC chairman has been suspended. They say he's suspended, so he has not been removed. Somebody appointed in his stead to act. So the laws are there. It is we, the people, or the executive, that look for a way to subvert these laws. The laws are there. And what matters is the person at the helm of affairs. Are you really interested in fighting corruption? If you are, give them a free operating hand and let the rules apply. Whether against you or in your favor, the rules are rules, let them apply.
All right. Now, let's reflect on a recent issue which some state governors, up to 16 of them, instituted a litigation for the scrapping of the EFCC. The Supreme Court has decided on that matter already. To what extent does this reflect our commitment in getting these institutions stronger to fight graft?
My first take on this subject matter is that I have not read that judgment, so I will not be in a very convenient position to comment on the contents of that judgment. However, I am aware that the state's attorneys general instituted this suit challenging the
propriety of the establishment of the year.
The state did that. Number one, this is my thinking also.
Yes.
Number one, some of these institutions have been perceived as institutions of the federal government to put the state governments in check. I have not seen a situation where a past president of Nigeria has been invited by the EFCC to investigate that regime. Why do you come and bother the state governments? Why do you do that? So, if I were if I were a governor in one of these states too, I would say, okay, fine. Lead by example. So it's a matter of distrust between the states and the federal. The states feel that the federal government is using the EFCC to muzzle them out, and they have a right to challenge for whatever reason they may have put in. They have a right to do that, and I think that is the main reason why that challenge came in. It is a power tussle between the states and the federal government. How many of those federal ministers have you prosecuted? How many of those federal officials have you prosecuted? Why is it that at any time there is a problem in a state goes against the whims and caprices of the president, the EFCC are sent to that state, or the ICPC are sent to focus on that state? So it is distrust. It is a one-sided application of the law, and these are the things that could come out from application of the law in such a circumstance.
Okay, Barrister Yaji, here were state governors who currently are serving,
yes,
and even have the immunity.
Yes.
The EFCC have not been unleashed, so to say, against them yet. So what could have been the rationale?
Yes, your question started by saying on them yet, meaning that they could do it. And it's a pattern that always happens. They wait for you, immediately your tenure comes to an end, and they are there. So, you do not have to wait. As I said earlier, I'm not saying this is what has happened.
Yes.
You do not have to wait for something to come to you. You prevent it from happening to you by taking steps. And if a sitting governor knows that, yes, I have immunity, and by tomorrow my immunity will be removed, and these people will be sent to me, then I should look for a way and say, okay, by the way, let me look at these people. Are you properly constituted? Was it correct for you to have been established? I have a right to do that, so that in the event that I leave office, they shouldn't come after me.
Barrister Yaji, you sound like if you were, anyway, I think you said it, that if you were a governor, you would do same. You would also challenge the propriety of
If I was a corrupt governor.
Anyway, so, okay, by extension, are you alleging that those who instituted the suits were corrupt governors?
No, not at all. Not
okay, that's okay. That's a subject matter on itself. Okay, now let's look at to what extent does corruption undermine trust and confidence in public institutions?
Yes, thank you very much. The whole essence of governance is trust. I should be able to walk to an office and know that the officer in charge of that office will resume work at 8 a.m. That is official opening hours of the office. and will close at 4 p.m., which is the official. Be attended to without me going there to come and push one or two buttons. I should be certain that that will happen. I should be certain that if I expend my resources for a contract that has been awarded to me by government, and it is stated that I'll be paid by the end of December, then I should be paid by the end of December. I do not have to go and start putting monies in envelopes to ensure that that happens. Now, where that does not happen, this is just some of the instances I've given you.
Yes.
Where that does not happen, it erodes completely the trust, the effectiveness of public office. There are places that you go to and then they tell you that this person, you have to do this, you have to do that. It has become a norm. It has become a norm for people to push buttons. You can imagine that people will they advertise for vacancies, for jobs, recruitment. By the time this advert is in the newspaper, people have already been recruited, and that shows, it goes a long way and shows you what happens at the end of the day. The people that are qualified, who have applied, do not get the opportunities to serve. The people that are unqualified that get employed, at the end of the day, what kind of output do you expect from those kind of people? So it degrades the society, it degrades the quality of representation that we have, it degrades the quality of services that we have. You can never underscore what that kind of corruption does to the public sector. Look at all the public schools. Most of the public schools are down. Most of the public schools are down. And if I tell you that if you go through Benue State or Makurdi, there are no schools, there are just few, 1 or 2, 3 or 4 schools that have the kind of facilities that public schools have. The kind of space. Because children must play. There are football fields, there are volleyball fields, all those things. Nowadays, you see schools in a plot of 100 by 50. You see, how do you expect those people how do you expect them to be safe? Because when we were growing up, they told us that if there's fire outbreak or if there is any emergency, we should run to the field. They are not there. So, what has happened to the public schools? What has happened to the public schools? Fine, you are entitled to operate a private school, but operate a private school in accordance with specifications. There must be playing fields. Why do we have schools that do not have playing fields? Somebody somewhere, or something had been done somewhere to get those kind of approvals. And those are what we term as very wrong things caused by corruption.
Okay, let's look at an aspect of our electoral process. Would you say our electoral processes are bedeviled by corruption?
Well, when you say bedeviled, I don't know how to start with that, but once again, corruption is everywhere. Our electoral process is flawed. Yes, we agree. Because of the system through which our leaders in Nigeria. So you have to be nominated or sponsored by a political party. The system through which nominations to be a candidate from a political party is done is supposed to be in accordance with the constitution or the rules governing that particular political party. We have seen where people buy forms, they are not given platform upon which they should be nominated, names are written, and then of course, decisions have been made that no, these are political party affairs, they are within the purview of the political party, so the courts do not have to interfere. Now, these same people are then brought forward as candidates for the political parties. The Independent National Electoral Commission has been trying to modify the electoral process. We we now have voting through BVN beavers.
Yes.
And then those are meant to improve the ballot box snatching that used to occur, even at gunpoint. People will come with guns and then take them away. I think that the truth is that there's a little bit of improvement on what has happened in the past. There's a little bit of improvement of what has happened in the past. But up till today, now that they have said no snatching of ballot boxes, there are things that we do to influence voters. There's vote buying. You see people going to the ballot to the voting centers with cash or with other inducements to ensure that they vote for a particular candidate of their choice. That is corruption. That is corruption. And so many other things that need to be checked. So in the electoral process, yes, there are areas that need improvements.
And in terms of campaign funding and financing, maybe pre-election, like you stated, the sale of forms to candidates at some high prices, do they predispose people to corruption when they get into office?
Definitely. Where would they recoup their resources from? If I buy a form 50 million naira and I get to a position, where will I recoup my money from? And most of these monies are borrowed. So why do you impose a heavy amount of money on a candidate trying to seek public office? How much is his whole emolument for the 4 years or two-year tenure that he's going to be there? How much do you expect him to buy forms? In other advanced countries, they stipulate how much a candidate is supposed to spend throughout the electioneering period. We do not have that here. You spend as much as you can, as much as you have.
Earlier on, you cited an example with yourself at the level of your office as NBA chairman. It is also alleged that sometimes public pressure mounted on public officials lead them to corruption. To what extent is this true?
Very, very true. Very, very true. Our society believes in free gifts. We have a society that is so relaxed. A society that do rather take than to give. So immediately somebody is given a public office, you see the amount of people coming to the person's house, different requests, different requests, out of where? So the pressure is much. And God help you that you do not do it. They say, no, this person is a stingy person, and like that. So the pressure comes upon you, or it is left for you. If you're a strong-willed person, why will you go and pilfer money from where you're not supposed to pilfer? Because at the end of the day, when the chips are down and they come calling, the EFCC and the other bodies come calling for you, those people will not be there for you at all. So yes, public pressure is on. They sing high praises to people that are doling out gifts and doling out money. Where from? They do not care.
All right, Barrister Yaji, we'll be due to start engaging with the listeners soon. But again, let's look at the strengths and weaknesses of the anti-corruption agencies in Nigeria. In your opinion, what would you say they are their strengths and their areas of weaknesses so as to reposition them for a better fight against corruption in the country?
Well, they have adequate facilities to carry out their functions. I know that they have, for example, the EFCC here, they have qualified and well-trained staff. They have lawyers that are up and down to ensure that the secure convictions for corrupt persons. I equally know that, however, know that they are not free from influence from the executive. They are independent on paper, but they are dependent in reality. So if the institutions can be strengthened by giving them absolute independence, then it will be better. But still talking about absolute independence, when you give somebody that kind of independence, it turns out to be something else again. So yes, there should be checks and balances, But those checks and balances should not be meted out in a way as to affect the running of their functions.
Recently, the EFCC announced the seizure of up to 700 and something duplexes in Abuja, which they termed as one of their largest recoveries since establishment of the agency. To what extent will the public key into any reforms that they may be making towards strengthening the agency for better fight against corruption?
Well, if you have used public funds to secure an advantage, to secure property, they should be seized for the state using the legal framework available. That will further enhance the public perception about the activities of the institution. However, so many monies have been seized. So many properties have been seized in the past. What has happened to them? What have they done to them? The public need to know. It is not only when you seize, you tell the public, this is what you have done to this property, this is what you have done with the resources that have been taken. We need to know. It will further enhance public perception and encourage the public to come out, investigate. So we need to know.
Good enough you stated the subject of looted, because that was actually going to be the line of thought. Would you say that there is actually transparency on the part of these anti-graft agencies in what they do in prosecuting cases of corruption?
Well, they are trying, but a lot more needs to be done.
And in what areas would this more be done? Maybe from your point of view as a legal practitioner.
Well, investigations, corruption cases start from investigations. So even from investigations, there are instances where people have been arrested, and then they look for crimes upon arrest. It shouldn't be like that. It should be that you conduct your investigation properly, and when you have a prima facie case against somebody, you arrest that person, and then for interrogation. And when there's a crime has been established, you let the person go. In a situation where perceived political opponents are arrested, when other persons of similar persons who of similar corrupt tendencies are let loose simply because they have decamped from the opposition party to the ruling party, it erodes the public perception. So, if they intend to strengthen their organizations, yes, from the investigation, from prosecution, from declaration of whatever proceeds they have seized, what have they done with it, and then where they are going to. Even the recruitment into those organizations should be transparent. So in that way, public perception will increase, and then those institutions will even have would have strengthened themselves internally.
As it is now, the recruitment on itself, should it be people, lawyers like yourself, or what kind of, maybe we should give a template on the categories of persons that should be suitable to be recruited for the fight against corruption?
Well, it's not only lawyers that can be recruited. The EFCC comprises of administrative, finance, and other departments as well. So you cannot just say lawyers should be recruited to go and head finance departments. The point being made is that proper persons should be appointed into those suitable positions. You cannot appoint somebody that already has his hands tainted with one thing or the other, one corrupt practice or the other, to go and be in charge of fighting corruption. Before the person came, he equally had his hands tainted. Doesn't have clean hands. So why do you do that? So apart from just general recruitment, You are recruiting people to the EFCC or even to the police. You should know their background. Where does this person come from? What are his kind of tendencies? And then, of course, immediately they are there. If they are found wanting in one way or the other, let us not politicize it. You are not qualified to fight corruption because you yourself, you have corrupt tendencies against you. So it should be removed from there. The issue is that for a bank, for example, the moment you find out that your staff is living above his means, it doesn't matter whether the person explains the source of his income. You should remove him. Because extravagance, if not a product of corruption, leads to corruption. You cannot live above your means. We have officers of the Nigerian police force, we have officers of the EFCC, we have officers of law enforcement agencies that live way beyond their means. How did they get those resources from? Where do they find them? Still, they are there. So we should start from all those ones.
How about you legal practitioners? You legal practitioners, are there people within the judiciary that live above their means as judicial officers, that the eyes should be kept on them?
Well, I do not know of any. I cannot point at any. But judicial officers in Benue State are known. They are known. So if any lives above the person's means, it's a ground for investigation.
Anyway, some few years ago, certain judicial officers in the country, high-ranking ones, where their houses were searched and huge sums of money were alleged to be discovered in their homes.
Well, I cannot say judicial officers. Those are one instances amongst many judicial officers. If one judicial officer has been found wanting, it does not mean that the entire judiciary, just institutions. So, even as there are corrupt people, there are still people that are trustworthy. So, you cannot take one instance and then generalize it for a whole people. That is where I differ on that.
All right, we'll take a short break, and once we're back, we'll start engaging with the listener. Kindly stay with us. Welcome back from that short break, and thank you for staying with us on iGate Radio. If you are just joining us, the program is Perspectives on iGate Radio. We are discussing the International Anti-Corruption Day, which is being observed across the world today, and Benue, Nigeria is also joining in this observance. You can participate on the program by calling in on 0814-335-9292. The number once again is 0814-335-9292. Once you connect with us, we would like to know your full name and where you're calling from. Then make your submission. Keep it very brief and be civil in your engagement. Move away from your radio as well. You can send us an SMS or a chat on WhatsApp to 0912-699-9404. 0912-699-9404 is available for SMS. Good morning and welcome to Perspectives.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, my name is Theophilus again from Igbango.
All right. Go ahead, Theophilus.
Thank you very much. You see, corruption is a dangerous worm that has been eating deeply into the fabric of this nation, just as other crimes such as armed robbery, trafficking, rape, etc. So we have to fight it all. All hands must be on deck to fight corruption. We must not leave it in the hands of EFCC or ICPC alone. We must tackle it together so that it will be reduced to a barest minimum. We want to also call on our security agencies to do up and doing so that anybody found in this corrupt practice should be apprehended and seek justice so that justice will prevail on him. By so doing, I believe all of us will fight it and reduce it to the barest minimum. Thank you.
Theophilus, thank you for calling in. We appreciate you. All hands should be on deck to fight corruption to the barest. All right, Theophilus says so. Hello, good morning. Hello. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. Good morning. Welcome to Perspectives. Oh, you are on, but we can barely hear you, so you may have to call back. Hello, good morning. Hello. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Oh, goodness me. All right, 0814-335-9292 is the line to call in. Sometimes the network could be funny, but we'll try to engage with you. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Yes, sir. This is ETKV Abraham calling from Federal Locust North Bank.
Good to have you join us, Abraham.
Thank you, sir. My regards to the guests in the studio. They have established an interesting point which I may also like to chip in another perspective.
Yes.
The issue of corruption, when you look at that concept, it seems to have the positive and the negative side. The Nigerians seems to choosing that of the negative that has prevailed over their society. And in this case, if the government of the day or the society in general wants the all, they must avoid the issue of regional marginalization, tribalism, and then the issue of familiar consideration, beginning from the recruitment process. When someone has an opportunity of leadership, he wanting the entire society that belongs to him to be involved and be at the forefront of it before others will be considered. At least if there is a representation that covers the whole region, and then different set of people are there with different set of ideas, there will be a check and balances in between. But when you be on board with the people within your locality, there is a kind of favor that you seem to decide if, even though the person have offended the same society. However, the government must have been very accountable due to how he carries out his function.
Okay.
And then the independence of the judiciary should be granted fully. And then the judiciary should also go a long way advocating for the job they have been doing. Well done for them so far. And good morning one more time.
Abraham Teve, thank you for calling in. Thank you for your opinion. Government should be accountable. Judiciary should be independent. Barrister Yaji, on paper, we are told that the judiciary is independent, but you will help us to understand better. Good morning.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Yeah, good morning, Barrister.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Tewasi Kwangisi. I'm calling from Makodi, high level to be precise.
Okay, good to have you, Tewasi.
Yeah, there are two questions I want to ask that has to do with corruption. Because the way I look at it, they emanate from corruption. I want to ask if the executive and how are they going to go about it for us to remove this immunity cost, because so many times we've heard that governors have been tried as a result of corruption when they were in office, and they have been found guilty. And so immunity cost is part of what that has led them to being tried and being prosecuted over the issue. That is number one. Number two, I want to find out if truly local government has been given autonomy. Have they started collecting their allocation directly from the federation account? If so, we should know so that we will hold our local government chairman accountable for what that they have been doing. Thank you very much.
Okay, Tewase, thank you. We appreciate you for calling in. In any case, your second question, we may not have the right answer to give you, but we'll try. Of course, Barrister, I've listened to you. We hope he responds. Good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Good.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
My name is Obua Gabriel. I'm calling from Madugu, Mbanyam, in the local government area of Benue State.
Good to have you, Madugu Gabriel. Hi, is Madugu. Did you say Madugu in Banya?
Obua. Yes, my name is Obua.
Obua
Calling
who?
from Madugu.
Okay.
Obua Gabriel.
Obua Gabriel. Thank you. Very well.
Obua Gabriel is my name.
Okay, Tobua. Go ahead, Gabriel. We're
Yes.
listening to you.
Thank you very much, the presenter of this program. I want to comment on the issue of corruption in this country. It has gotten to the peak and the zenith of it. It is eating this country. The country is finding it very difficult to strive because of corruption in every sector of the government, even the security agency. It is quite disheartening. You'll be dismayed to hear that if you are coming all the way from Randika to Makode, you discover that there are a whole lot of security checkpoints on the road, and they are standing there also to extort from the traversers. They are not there to check anything evil, including the soldiers. Yesterday, somebody was telling me, and it is from the genuine source, that one soldier from the Air Force has been dismissed for criminal act. About 15 cases leveled against him.
Okay.
Could you imagine the security that are supposed to be the watchdog of the country?
Tobua?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
On this program, we speak not just to make spurious allegations. We speak with facts. We speak on issues that we really can give authenticity to. So if you are commenting, comment based on what you have evidence of, right?
Yes, I'm telling you the truth. Though I learned that security personnel has been dismissed, it is what I know very well. But what I'm telling you is what I know very well. The securities on the road, if you want to believe this, just enter any vehicle, especially these trucks that are loaded with goods. What they do is to extort from traversers, and that is all. I know what I'm saying. I'm ready to stand anywhere and defend what I'm saying.
Okay,
so imagine.
So conclude. Just conclude your thoughts on how you think the corruption or the issue of extorting motorists, as you alleged, can be tackled.
I think there should be an orientation given to the security agency. They should bear in mind that they are the watchdog of the country. Where do we run to if the security agencies themselves are corrupt? Where do we run to? So they should, I say, there should be a reform or a thorough check on this.
All right.
Not only on the road, but anywhere at all. There should be a thorough check. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
you for calling in. Okay, Tobua is concerned about what is happening on the roads, which he alleged law enforcement agencies are extorting motorists. He cited a particular axis of the road in Benue. We hope that's subject to investigation. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you. I am Hundu Shamange from Abu Abagi and Buruku local government.
Hundu Shamange, good to have you join us. How is Abwa Bagan this morning?
Abu Abagi is fine.
Good. Go ahead.
Thank you. Barrister Yaji has just explained, he has spoken, I've been listening, and everything he has said is just what is happening here in our country about corruption. But I know the moderator, you are going to ask him the question after that, what will be the way forward? If not, when he mentioned about keep being pardoned, how do we say we are fighting corruption?
Shamangi, before you proceed, could you turn down the volume of your radio set or move away from it?
Okay, I will do that.
Please. All right, now continue with your thoughts, please.
So, now if such people will not be allowed to serve their jail sentences, it means we are not doing, if they are pardoned by the executives, it means we are not doing anything concerning the corruption. Allow such people to serve their sentences, allow anybody who is corrupt in our office to be taken away, allow such a president who, they have in minutes, that one I know, but once he is found to be guilty of anything, allow such a person to serve that thing so that he will know, others will take example that thing is not good. If not, we keep talking the same thing and everything will die. If it is so, what is the need of ICPC? What is the need of all these EFCC? There will be no need, but we have not started. We only talk about it. We don't even do. We have people we see example we stop. So the only thing I'm suggesting is our country, God will help us so that in time to come, people will be passed out sentence and they will start it so that other people will see as an example and then they will take correction. I think things will be better in that way.
Hundu Shamangi, thank you for calling in.
Right.
Thank you. Okay, Hundu Shamangi does not want anybody convicted of corruption to be pardoned. So should serve their sentence so as to serve as a deterrent to others. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello. Oh, I'm sorry, you are on, but your voice is not coming through, so we may have to disconnect with you. But you may try to call back if you can. The line is available to participate on the program. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Hello. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Welcome to. Okay, good morning. I'm Mr. Innocent. Okay, my own country of our life as Nigerians. Now, how do we tackle it? Because it's something that we all know. And I'd like to suggest that, like what the president has done in the issue of removal of subsidy on petroleum, that is, you discourage. Because fighting is another difficult thing. You discourage corruption. Now, if you look at our fuel stations now, there are times where you go to mega stations to buy fuel. You see people with constructed tanks because they have money to bribe their tender. They will buy several times. They are still on the queue. Now, that has been removed. Although we are having pains because of the cost of, but corruption in that area, people, emergency billionaires have been removed in that area because there are people that benefit, they divert. Now, you cannot divert fuel to anywhere. There were times where mega stations, for instance, will not have fuel for even a month. But independent marketers who are selling at higher prices are having fuel. And NNPC was the major only importer of PMS. How were these other people getting? So by the time the president removed that, you have discouraged corruption. Then as for the state, the issue of joint account between the state and local government, that is another area of corruption where those in the bureau control the money. They just give small money to local government chairmen. Now, in state assemblies, if I think I am aware that apart from the Supreme Court pronouncement, there has to be an amendment of certain laws. Now, they may be referred to state assemblies. They should take their stand and ensure that it is passed. That the money is meant for local government should go to them straight without any governor having access to it, taking 1 naira from it, so that we can hold the local government chairman, accountable to the people. That's another aspect of, of corruption. Then those appointed, they should declare in this issue of asset declaration. It should be made public. Somebody they will tell us that those appointees are some of them tell that they earn less than $1 million in a month. But you see they're building houses running to 200-300 million naira. How did they get the money? So they should declare what they have before they are appointed. Somebody not having a duplex before is given political appointment or winning election. Before the person is having estates, having story buildings everywhere. They should declare assets publicly. They should amend that law of Code of Bureau. The people should declare their assets open, let people know what they have.
Thank
by
you.
Going in.
Innocent, thank you for your contribution.
Okay, God bless you.
God bless you too. All right. Innocent believes that the removal of fuel subsidy is part of tackling corruption. That is his opinion. We are not contesting that, but he talked on other issues as well. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Welcome. My name is Igbaye Makura, Regional President from Bamako Batiabo local government.
Igbayima, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome, sir. My regards to your guest in the studio.
Thank you very much.
To me, there are some factors that militating against fighting of corruption in Nigeria. First, fighting corruption based on party affiliation. It will not take us anywhere. If we are fighting corruption, let us be based on what corruption is all about. Secondly, the issue that are in court, unnecessary adjournment is one of the factors that is militating against fighting of corruption. So ICPC, they always find a way of navigating their way out in terms of being unheard in order not to attend to the case that before the court. That will not help matters. And thirdly, I think declaration of access whenever you are holding public office, being it elected or appointed, that should another way of helping out. So the thing that you are getting, thing that you have before assuming that office and after the office will be clear. And lastly, I think deploying these corruption agencies in all the ministries, it will help a long way. And those that are holding these corruption offices, let them be firm. Let them stand firm, not to deviate in whatever they are doing. These are my submissions.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Igbayima.
Welcome, sir.
Thanks for calling. All right, we appreciate you, Igbayima Akura. But beyond those in government, we want to also hear people tell us corruption, just like Barrister just said, even in the family front. Let's move away from those in government. While we focus on those in government, let's hear from the basic level too. Good morning.
Good morning, Nathaniel.
Thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
John again from Akwa in Boko local government of Benue State.
All right.
Thank you so much. It's an opportunity given for every one of us to, look inward and see how we can stop or at least minimize corruption. See, corruption, as they say, is a cankerworm that is seeping deep into the fabric of every people. And as a nation, it's just practically dealing with our economy and the way we are supposed to be comfortably living. Because as a matter of fact, God has endowed a lot for these people of Nigeria to be living happily. But corruption is dealing with a whole lot of us, and we are in a position, in a very tight corner. And, if we have to do away with it, first of all, I would like touch a little on the area of people that are in the hands of authority. You see, by doing election and people getting to political offices, the prices they of selling political tickets for people what they are spent, they have to use other means other than their normal salary, and it should be made that it will be affordable for everybody, and it shouldn't be such that people will prioritize being in positions of authority to gain money rather they should be there to serve people. Trying to be there to gain money is what is it's getting people to be more corrupt than before. And then coming to the anti-graft agencies, people now at executives are trying to adjust everybody. They have everybody in their ambit, and they can control both the legislature and the judiciary. This is not auguring well for us. So people should be independently in all the arms, and it will be better for our country.
All right.
And in the family cycle as well, a lot of things are happening. If you give person an opportunity even to share meat in a round table as a steamer, we used to carve, you see that people are not all that, fair in sharing food, sharing money, and all that. So people should be Christian-like.
Thank
It will
you,
be better
James.
for us.
Thank
Think
you.
of what you do to another as to be done to you the same. Thank you.
Thank you, James Donovan. James, Brother Yaji, James Donovan has gone to even the rudiment of corruption when you sit eating together and the share. All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nathaniel.
Thank you, sir.
Actually,
yes.
The issue of corruption...
Let's start with your name and where you're calling from there.
I'm very sorry.
Yes.
My name is Mr. Achimi Oguche, calling from Modern Market Road.
Okay, good to have you here. Go ahead now.
Actually, the issue of corruption in Nigeria is as old as human being itself. The corruption in this country is happening in all aspects of our lives, both in public service, in private sector, even at the family level. And the government of this country has not taken the fight serious. It is only in Nigeria that people celebrate corrupt people. In other climes, people that are found guilty of corruption are severely punished. Some are sentenced to life imprisonment, and some are even given capital punishment by death. But in Nigeria, for instance, as a public worker, a civil servant, what you are given at the end of the month, your take-home pay, is not able to take you for a week. How will you be able to give service satisfactorily? How can you be able to serve your fatherland with the fear of God while you are facing economic challenges? You have family, you cannot take care of your family. So all these issues are the reasons why corruption is being celebrated in Nigeria. For instance, now there are civil servants, federal civil servants that up to now they have not received their December salary. And in such case, you put a worker.
But December is not due. Maybe I'm not holding brief for federal government, but December salary should not be due now yet. Anyway, Oguche, conclude your thoughts.
I said December salary. There are some people, November salary, I mean. There are some people that have not received November salary up till now.
Okay.
And such people, when they are in custody of money and they are having some financial challenges, maybe their family member or their child are sick, you think they will overlook the money and leave their child to die?
All right.
So
thank you. Yes.
The solution, I know, let me round up.
Conclude now.
The government, by making a capital punishment for public officers that are found guilty of corruption, and then the reward system, whistleblower policy should be encouraged, so that people that inform the anti-corruption agency should be appropriately compensated.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Achime Oguche, for calling in. Capital punishment. This has been a debate. We are going to debate it too, because Achime wants to propose that capital punishment should be for public officials in corruption. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you very much, sir. My regards to your guest in the studio.
Thank you.
Yes, this is Vincent Ako. I'm calling from Barracks Road, Wadata.
All right, good to have you, Vincent. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I want to say that the issue of corruption is not about politicians alone and public office holders alone. There are different ways of corruption. Like the internet fraudsters, they are also corrupt people. Like those that increase the prices of their goods unnecessarily, they are also corrupt. And I want to say that if we stop celebrating corrupt people, to some extent it will reduce. Because somebody will go and steal money, or somebody will go and do Yahoo or whatever. Let me just say internet fraudster. You see the parents of that person will be supporting the person, praising the person that my son is rich, my my son bought Benz and whatever. And then you see somebody unnecessarily increasing the price of his own commodity just like that, and then making money at the expense of another people's sweat. And people will still be praising that person, that the person is excelling in terms to all do what is right. And I also want to say that we know that our masters are corrupt. If they are criminals, why they were in office? We shouldn't celebrate them. We should just be doing the right thing. We should always say the truth at the right time. Thank you very much, sir, for giving me the opportunity.
Thanks for your opinion. God bless you too. Thanks for your opinion. And I think this is the season, based on what Vincent has said, arbitrary increase of prices is also part of corruption. Christmas season is around the corner. So check your conscience so as not to be corrupt. It's not my thinking. It's Vincent's thinking. I'm only leveraging. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
At last, to the guest in the studio.
At last, we're able to have a female caller. Otherwise, we're wondering whether women don't discuss issues of corruption.
I'm Oilonye calling from welfare quarters.
Okay. Oi. Did you say oi what?
Oilonye calling from welfare quarters.
Oilonye who?
Oilonye Ogenyi.
Ogenyi. Go ahead, yes. Ogenyi.
Yes. The issue of corruption is everywhere. Starting from the home, even in our state particularly, there is this corruption that is going on that is it is not good at all. Like from the issue of our teaching hospital, even the recruitment they did last time, we that went to write exam and some that did not even participate at all, they are the ones having job there.
Ogenyi. Hello, Ogenyi.
Sir.
Well, we, as much as possible, we avoid calling names on our programs so as not to run foul of spotlighting people negatively. So just go ahead and speak in general sense. I'm sorry you mentioned that institution. We never meant it should be so. But just go ahead and make your thoughts to conclude, please.
Okay, I'm sorry for that, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So the corruption is everywhere. So what I'm saying is that it is God that we should just pray that when you find something that is not right, you have to deal with it so that it will not affect. But as I'm speaking, the corruption is growing every day. We are trying to stop the corruption. Even we that is trying to stop the corruption, but we are still the one that is making the corruption not to end. Yes, as in the corruption, I don't know. So that's my point.
Thank you. Oilonye Ogenye, thank you for your opinion. We appreciate you for calling in.
Thanks.
Yeah. I think the corruption is so much so that Oilonye Ogenye don't know how to express it, but from her voice you can understand. We'll temporarily stay on the course for now and come back to you, Barrister Yaji. And you have listened to several of the callers. What do you make of their understanding of the subject matter of corruption and the extent to which it is pervasive in the Nigerian space? Just comment briefly on that before we speak on some of the issues they raised.
Okay, thank you very much. I think all of us are in agreement that corruption is everywhere, it permeates every facet of our society, and that it is something, a menace that all of us should join hands to deal with.
All right, now let's go to one question. Tewase Kwangishi was wondering who is responsible for removal of the immunity clause that covers some public officials in office.
Well, the immunity clause is a part of the Nigerian Constitution. It has been enshrined there in order to allow for these public officers, the president, the vice president, the governor, the deputy governor, for them to carry out governance smoothly, so that you will not need them to be always going to court for over this issue, over that issue, over that issue. So that is why the immunity clause is there. And before any aspect of the Constitution will be amended, it has to go through two-third majority of the State's House of Assemblies. So a bill has to be made on the National Assembly and be consented to by two-thirds majority of the Houses of Assembly.
There was once that immunity clause removed. Are you in support of him? Would you propose also that immunity clauses should be removed in our constitution to pave way for fighting of corruption seamlessly?
Well, I do not completely agree with him. There are advantages of that immunity clause, just like there are disadvantages of the immunity clause. Now, the reason why he proposes the removal of that immunity clause is because the governors and those officials are being shielded from prosecution. Now, I do not think that alone should be a reason why that immunity clause should be removed. Immediately your tenure expires, you are subject to prosecution. Prosecution is meant to deter, to correct and to deter future occurrences. If you, as a person contesting governor or president, knows that immediately after your tenure, you will be prosecuted for things you did while you were in office, then you should hold yourself back. So the issue is not whether that immunity clause should be removed. After the expiration of the tenures of these officers, how have they been dealt with? Have they been prosecuted successfully? And those that have been prosecuted, why is it that they have been granted immunity to come back and not to serve them? And I think that those are the questions that we should ask, and not whether they should remove that immunity clause or not.
So you sound like one who is not in support of any call for removal of immunity clause in our constitution.
For now, no.
Okay. Now, he also, I don't know whether you may have an answer to this. He wanted to know whether local government autonomy, as the Supreme Court ruled, for them to enjoy financial autonomy, whether they have started accessing funds from the federation accounts to hold council chairman responsible or accountable. You are a legal practitioner, so sometimes this information could be available to you. Help us understand, Barrister Yaje.
I'll speak like a legal practitioner.
Yes.
That is a decision of the Supreme Court, and decisions of courts are meant to be obeyed. I believe that decision will be obeyed by the various state governments, and those funds that are meant for local government will be sent to the local government. However, let us be very realistic with ourselves. I attended a program sponsored by to train certain local government officials about some 3-4 years ago or so, and NFIU,
Financial Intelligence Unit.
Yes. The funds meant for local governments were being directly sent to local governments. However, immediately the funds get to local governments, by the directive of the executive, the funds are removed through one means or the other, and returned back to the executive. So the issue of financial independence is number one. Yes, these funds will be sent to the local government. The local governments that are headed by local government councils have been elected, in quote. Having been elected, will they have the political muscle to resist attempts by the state governments to repatriate these funds back to the state government? That is the question.
All right. So part of it's good enough that there was raised that Innocent Akko, who called in from from Naka Road, even categorically advocated the abolition of joint account system. Local governments operate with state government as part of efforts to. He recommended that as part of efforts to fight corruption. Are you in support of that?
Well, the joint account serves other purposes equally. The monies that come, you know, this is what is going to the local government. This is what is going to the state. There's a sharing formula that is being done by that joint account, the local government account. So there's a sharing formula. They know that this is what goes to you, this is what goes to this person, this is how it should be. It does not therefore mean that because of that joint account, monies that are meant for local government are kept by the state to be disbursed by them. No. On the other hand, why must you have a joint account when you know that local government funds are determinable from the source? Send it directly to them. So, local government joint account, yes, it can be removed.
All right. Oguchi Achime also advocated capital punishment for public officers indulging in corruption. There are countries around the world that have capital punishment for corrupt officials. Nigeria has not implemented it. Would you advocate such, Barrister Yaji?
Well, in various parts of the world, capital punishment is being removed from the criminal justice systems. It's being removed. I believe that more severe punishments should be meted out to persons who have been found guilty of corruption. Maybe with time, if it has not improved, then we can get to the extent of capital punishment. I am not one of those advocating for capital punishment for any offense at all.
All right, and you're not advocating because it is being removed in the criminal justice system and there's no need for it, or where we really do not have cases that require such capital punishment?
No, it is not because it is being removed. My personal opinion is that there's no point having capital punishment. By the way, for the past, since I think the last person that was executed in Nigeria was in the 90s or so. We have a lot of persons on death row. No governor has had the political will to sign. So why do we keep them on death row when we do not have the political will to sign?
Anyway, that's okay. Let's engage with a few more persons before come back. Good morning and welcome to Perspectives.
Good morning.
Please, you may move away from your radio set.
I have done that.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Bello Musa calling from London.
Bello Musa, go ahead.
The issue of this corruption is of three parts. See, one is from the government. You give me a key to a food, and my family are hungry. I am hungry. And you expect me to do the right thing. How can I not touch that food? That is one. The salary, even with the salary in this current situation in Nigeria now, even transport will take the whole salary for a month. So how can you? That's even that will encourage the corruption. Secondly, in Nigeria now, we mostly celebrate corruption because I remember a man, federal government office now, he was appointed. So one big man from the company just came here and bring a check of 10 million naira that he should take water. That man laughed and said, "No, do you want to kill me? 10,000 naira water." He said, "Well, let me have this one water for 200. It's okay for me." And that matter because a matter celebrating this thing. So that's the only thing. Even me, I'm calling for this capital punishment because those people that are doing this corruption, they are giving capital punishment to the poor people. How many people were they were executing for? So if they put the capital punishment, that will be good. But if they do 1, 2, 3, at least it will be okay. Thank you.
Okay, if capital punishment, but it should be done 1, 2, 3, and then stop at that. Bello Musa.
I'm telling you, they will stop. Even some robbers, they because they succeed. That's why they continue. But those that you get if they kill some of the group, if you run away, they will never do that again. So the Nigeria, they celebrate it. That's why Thank you very much.
Bello Musa, thank you for calling in. Anyway, on this program, all shares of opinion are accommodated provided they are in line with what we are discussing. Capital punishment that Barrister Yaji is against, Bello Musa wants it strongly, and he has reasons for thinking that there should be capital punishment. Hello, good morning. Hello. Oh, we lost connection with that caller, but the line is available. We'll try to engage with a few more persons. Good morning. Hello. Good morning. I'm sorry, your voice is really not coming through. Quite unfortunate. Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's the voice of Mark Anwang in the frontier, the Goloko Goma.
Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you. I think many callers have spoken my mind. What I may like to say is that the law of the land is not functioning for the rich. Because the issue of corruption we are saying, I think we have the EFCC there to check those who are being corrupt. So a penalty can penalize the offender to save a deterrence to others. So if those people that are being corrupt and are being caught by the EFCC, I think the penalty there, the government should go ahead and penalize them so that others will fear to do same. So if not, I think the corruption is everywhere. Even from our home front, you will experience the same thing. So I'm rather advising the relevant authority that they should make everything possible.
Okay, Mark, thank you very much.
Hello?
Yes, Mark.
They should make sure that the penalty there penalize the offenders to save a deterrent to others. Thank you.
Thank you for calling in. We appreciate you. And that's the last call we'll take on the program today. A few messages but before we come back. This one says, good morning, presenter. With your guests, any third world nation that is highly elitist and focus more on building strong individuals other than strong institutions will have it difficult with negative corruption. Nigeria is not an exception. Ex-governors, so many names mentioned there, but we're not interested in them. Ex-governors were convicted of corruption by the Nigerian court, but were granted presidential pardon before our eyes. Nigerian corruption is both top to bottom and bottom to top. Joe Kennedy from Makodi. Joe, we appreciate you for your message. Another one here says, good day, the presenter and the guest in the studio. Before, the Persian dog eats the fattest bone, but now is not so in the society. The looting of funds occurs when the regulating laws are not well established by the lawmakers and when the regulating officers in the agencies recruited and were not clean to implement the policy of anti-corruption practices. Although our society believes in the corrupt people, that is why they celebrate them instead of distancing from them. I suggest that the government should post secret anti-corrupt personnel with technological experience in both public and private offices. Nyajo Godwin from Gbajimba. Nyajo, thank you for your message. Another one here says, corruption is an illegal behavior that influences an abnormal or normal. Good morning. Isaac Utsua from Anchiha in Goma. Okay, Isaac, thank you for your message, for participating on the program. And in our WhatsApp box here, this one says, good morning to you and the guests. Systemic corruption is a major obstacle to stability and economic development in Nigeria. Corruption threatens our future, but together we can change that. Let's unite as young people and lead with integrity, demanding accountability from those in power. From Ko Ephraim, Welfare Quarters in Makodi. Ko Ephraim, thank you for your message. Those are the messages we are able to take on the program today. Barrister Yaji, we are gradually trying to have our concluding thoughts now. Let's focus more, like a bit more on how individuals and organizations can promote a culture of integrity and transparency to do away with corruption at the basic level in our society.
When you see corruption, you talk about it. We should not be afraid to talk about corruption in all our institutions. If it can be said that some people, institutional frameworks should be put in place in every organization. Let us fight corruption. Let us fight corruption. Corruption is not good. Corruption does us no good. It will corruption. We'll start from there and gradually we'll move up to the top.
All right, and then what strategies can be employed to prevent corruption?
Every organization or every society has checks and its balances. Now, if you see something that is abnormal, if you find out that somebody is behaving, has corrupt tendencies, report that person to the relevant authorities. There's something called whistleblowing. We should blow our whistles at every given opportunity that we have. We should blow our whistles at every given opportunity. And of course, corruption and making a society better starts with ourselves. Look at yourself. what is it that you're doing? Are your activities, are the kind of things that you're engaged in leading to corruption or encouraging corruption? Then you start from yourself, because you cannot throw stones when you yourself live in glass houses.
On a final note, Barrister Yaji, are there any reforms you would propose for our institutions fighting corruption to work better in the country?
The laws establishing those institutions, the laws covering corruption are adequate to deal with issues of corruption. What we require is leadership. Once we get it right with leadership in every facet, then we'll be able to enforce these laws to the letter. Corruption has no greed, it has no race, it has no color, it has no size, it has no dimension. Once the leadership is correct, then the laws will be enforced to the letter, and these incidences of corruption will be reduced.
So as it is, would you say with the leadership we have in Nigeria, are we winning or losing the war against corruption?
Well, we can do better.
We can do better. In what aspects?
In all aspects. Aspects of leadership, we can do better.
All right. To take you up to task, just briefly, give your concluding words on your colleagues in the judiciary who it is alleged that sometimes they are part of efforts to scuttle the real fight against corruption in terms of taking unnecessary adjournments and prolonged issues that are technical in court beyond focusing on the merits of cases.
Okay. I do not know if it is true that the judiciary has been accused of doing all that, but I'll give you just a little synopsis of what happens in court.
Yes.
The judge is seated there. He's not a master of the facts. You that is bringing the accused person know what you are bringing him for. The person defending him is there trying to defend what you have brought. So it is the facts that you bring that the judge works upon. Now, issues of adjournment are caused as a result of several factors. I'll just give you one factor, one of such factors. There are times we're sitting in court, and you know how hot Makurdi is, and then the light goes off. There are no fans in the courts. There are no generators to power the little fans that they have, to even power electricity. That is one of the reasons that will cause an adjournment, for example, because the court is dark, it's not well illuminated. It goes to tell you that the funds that the judiciary is supposed to have to be able to have a conducive environment to carry out their functions is not there. Then, secondly, lawyers can fall sick. A lawyer for the prosecution can fall ill. Lawyer for the defender can fall ill, and when that happens, then the matter has to be adjourned. We have recently they have established more courts. In those days, we had little courts. A judge will have like 20 cases on the court list. Magistrates still do have them up till now. How do you expect that kind of judge to function efficiently? Therefore, more judicial officers should be employed. More facilities should be put in place for them to be able to carry out their functions effectively. I do not see of any judicial officer who will willingly truncate cases. After all, they have a quarterly report that they give of all their cases that they have handled and concluded. Where they do not have those quarterly reports, they have queries or other issues to answer. So they are more interested in the cases being concluded.
All right, we hope they are more interested in the cases being concluded, and this should act in line with what you have said. Barrister Taylor Yaji is the chairman, Nigerian Bar Association, NBA Makurdi branch. He joined us here today on Perspectives, where he shed light with us on the observance of the International Anti-Corruption Day. Barrister Yaji, thank you very much indeed for your time and the valuable insights you have shared with us.
Thank you very much. It has been my pleasure.
Dear listener, that's our program today. Join us on Wednesday for a fresh edition of Perspectives. Remember, we must put all hands on deck to fight corruption before it kills the soul of our country. Fighting corruption starts with you and I at our basic level. My name is Nathaniel Nongo. Goodbye, and I will be with you here on Wednesday. Bye-bye.